So I've put over 100 hours into the Together update so far, and overall I am super happy with it, with the changes to the Embers, the Facets, as well as the Scribe table. I think they did a fantastic job with adding new systems to make the end game and crafting items way more interesting and fun. Really quick before we get started, if you do enjoy the video, if you could like, comment, subscribe if you want to see anything from me in the future. I'm going to be live streaming some test challenges that I want to work out for a video here in the future. So if you're interested in that, click on the channel below. Otherwise, let's get into it. Now, overall, I think the introduction of all the new embers was a fantastic idea. I think all of them have really good uses. I think the only one that's a little bit useless is the Sublime Ember. That might just be because I played a lot of infection zones, so I gained a ton of plagued material. So exalting materials were pretty common, and I didn't really have too much of an issue with that. However, I did feel that Essence Embers and Radiant Embers had super low drop rates. They did require a lot of farming to accumulate any good amount. Also, having good luck on the bounty boards and the challenges was also pretty important, as well as relying on the vendors, Findley and Grinnick, having them in the store, as well as the one in the Crucible, the store in the Crucible, having them. I do think it's probably, you could probably up the drop rate by a little bit. I don't think it needs to be anything crazy, but as it stands right now, it does feel a little bit slow to accumulate them, especially since right now the end game isn't incredibly difficult and you don't need to have a fully decked out character and full exalts with all the exact enchantments that you want with the perfect rolls in order to defeat the end game. Like the Echo Knight and the Plague infestations, they're not easy, but they're relatively doable for a reasonably competent player. So having these Essence Embers and Radiant Embers being so limited, I don't think is necessarily super necessary. Now, also when it comes to Facets, I think Facets on gear is a spectacular addition. I don't think them being added to the game was a negative in any way. I think they've only been positive. However, getting the correct facet on the correct item, I think is a little bit silly if you can't get it dropped naturally. So if you have a specific weapon you want to use and you're looking to get a specific facet, having to craft 10 or 20 or even more of the exact same item just to get a variety of facets to find the one that you're looking for, I don't think is necessarily a great gameplay mechanic. I think if they were to maybe add some sort of more deterministic way to imbue a facet onto an item would be interesting. I have some ideas on how they could do that. I'm going to make that into a future video, so stay tuned for that one. But as it stands right now, with having to craft a bunch of the same item to get a bunch of different facets for that one item is a little bit tricky. And then also having the resources to craft some of these items be quite rare and inconsistent in drop rate can lead to, I would say, some frustration when you're min-maxing towards the later half of the game. But overall, those are like really the main tiny issues I think that really kind of poke their head out towards the end of late game when you really want to push your build over the finish line and just have it be perfect. I think these small hiccups can be a little bit, not frustrating, but just tedious. You can't really get these things through playing game modes that I would say are interesting, like Crucible. I guess you can get the Embers through doing plague infestations or infection zones. They're the same thing, but it is a little bit slow going in that aspect, for especially for Radiant Embers. Now for the Scribe table, I think it was a really, really cool addition. I think being able to see all of the items that are craftable, or even just seeing all the items that are available in the game is just a really cool resource. Not only just for new players, but also for people like myself. I didn't really know that there was quite as many armors in the game as there was, so it was just a cool thing to find out for myself. As well as being able to research all of the recipes and not having to rely on vendors randomly supplying them was a good addition. I think that really helps out with build diversity and being able to use pretty much any weapon in the game or any armor in the game without having to just hope it eventually drops to you. So overall, Scribe table, super cool addition. Haven't seen any issues with it, and yeah, pretty cool. Like I had mentioned with the Essence Embers being a little bit annoying to drop, as well as Radiant Embers, did have one small issue with the Scribe table. Since all the vendors have random inventories for sale, I did run into an issue early on where I needed a chest and there wasn't one for sale. And so I ended up having to use the Scribe table to research a chest. But since there's so many cupboards in the storage category, I ended up having to use all of my research papers, which ended up being over 20, in order just to research one chest. So that was a little bit of a pain point for me early on. I just wanted to bring up in case anyone's wondering how they get a chest and there isn't one for sale. You're going to have to roll on the storage category in the Scribe table, and hopefully you can get a chest that way. If anybody finds that helpful, let me know in the comments, because that was a little bit of a struggle for me early on. But overall, the Together update has been a fantastic time. I've had so much fun with it. Playing with a friend was a super fun experience, but even just playing solo, all of the system updates that they introduced were a super big plus for all us solo players who just want to make really cool builds and enjoy the game for what it is. So again, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment. And again, if you're watching this around when the video came out, I am going to be live streaming. So head on down to the channel and check it out live and say hello. So y'all have a good day, and bye-bye.